Chidanandji, you can start now.
हाँ जी, शुरू करते हैं. Good evening and namaste everybody. This evening's topic for our discussion is musings on morality. You may also call this evening's topic in another way, war and peace with values. You and I, human beings, however much character we may have, or however much lacking in character we may be, always have a certain war going on inside us. There is a Kurukshetra within us. Good and bad are at war. But we shall examine what do you call good, what do we call bad. In this country of ours, India, from time immemorial, there has been discussion on dharma and a number of dharma shastras, Manusmriti, Parashara Smriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, etc. came. All of them attempted defining dharma, morality, what is right, how we must live, who should do what, and of course, what we should not do. It is the domain of do's and don'ts, at least in the popular imagination. It's about doing and not doing. I have not studied any Smriti in detail, bits and pieces here and there, yes. Many years ago, I picked up, out of curiosity, a book called Parashara Smriti. I did not go far, just a first few verses. But what was amazing in that is that it begins with the narration of the setting. In the Sanskrit shlokas, Parashara Smriti begins, once upon a time, sages, rishis, very learned people who were living, quote and unquote, very austere life, gathered and asked each other, what is dharma? What is the right way of living? And they could not come to a conclusion. They were so perplexed, so puzzled, so unsure about what to call right and what to call wrong. Then all of them, they were eminent scholars in the Vedas and whatnot. They then decide, that is an interesting story. They say to each other, oh, trying to define what is right is next to impossible. We are unable to figure it out. Let us go therefore to Parashara. There is this Rishi Parashara who is wiser than us. And then they go to Parashara. And Rishi Parashara, after listening to them and knowing that they have a great confusion about dharma, very humbly submits, I too do not know what is dharma, but whatever little comes to my mind, I will share with you. And what is shared later, I have not read, leave it aside. But isn't it amazing that thousands of years ago, presumably, the most learned ones at that time were puzzled about what is dharma. Therefore, this war and peace with values, this issue of morality has been elusive to all of us. Though especially we Indians, are very good at giving long lectures on what we don't know. We open the topic. I don't want to put Indians down totally, but we have a skill of opening a topic and going into various nuances of that topic. Therefore, so many books of wisdom took birth in our country. So, what is the significance of morality? What is the significance of living rightly? Call it satya, call it ahimsa, call it shaucha, which is cleanliness, call it transparency, call it arjava, straightforwardness, being open. The facets of morality have been described in so many ways. Long lists of right values have been given to us by the so called wise people. What is the significance? I would say it has tremendous practical significance. Discussing morality is not for the pleasure of chatting over something over a cup of tea. If we gain clarity on what is truly moral, it can bless us with peace. Until we are confused about what is right, no matter how much wealth we have, how famous we are, how many places in the world we have traveled and come back, and so on and so forth, our heart will not find peace. Sometimes the same question is raised in another way. Whom do you call a man or a lady of character? Morality, character are interconnected. Bernard Shaw once wittily commented, know the character of a man, of course, it can mean a woman. Know the character of a man by finding out what he does when he thinks nobody is watching him. Don't go by how he behaves in front of all. All of us are very clever people. When we know that people are watching us, we behave like Satya Harishchandra. And when we imagine or think that nobody comes to know, we can go to very low morality. So we have this question, what is ethics? There is a golden rule of ethics. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know it already. What is the golden rule of ethics? Do unto others what you want them to do to you. I want, when I go to North India, an example, a simple example to show a bit of a difficulty with this golden rule. I go to a Punjabi house, and on way to Punjabi house, I am hoping, I hope they will give me hot idlis. South Indians love idlis. And lo, Kapoor family serves hot idlis to me, right? So they gave me what I love the most. Next month they come to my house in Bengaluru, and I say, well, I must do to them what they did to me. I give them hot idlis. They like parathas. So there is a catch in this. Don't just reciprocate exactly the way they did to you. See the definition. They gave me what I love. I must serve them what they love. I should not serve them exactly what they serve me. So, golden rule of ethics itself can be discussed for hours and hours. In today's world also, despite so much of communication, so much of exchange of ideas, so much of what they call cultural exchanges, there is such wide gap between culture of a certain community, culture of certain other community are at war. Or on an individual plane, when a young man and a young woman marry, many a time the preferences of the husband and of the wife are in conflict. So dharma becomes a big challenge. So can we define, coming closer to the crux of the matter, can we ever define morality or right living or right doing in external form? To put a knife to somebody's stomach is wrong, suppose we say. A surgeon also puts a knife into the stomach of his patient, cutting the stomach open for an operation. Then we say, oh, wait a minute. We will not define morality in the outer physical form. A surgeon puts a knife into the stomach, let us say, in a simple example, to cure, to restore health to that man. Whereas a murderer also stabs a knife into the belly of another person to finish him off. Therefore, knife is the same. To put a knife into another person's belly is immoral, unethical, wrong, criminal, and such words is not right if it is done for a good purpose. Then you say, oh, then let us go to the mental plane. If what we do or what we say is with good intention, with a noble motive, then the act itself could be right. If our motive, which is in the mind, right? If our purpose, if our intention is bad, then though outwardly it is so sweet, it could be wrong. So from the physical level, we go to emotional or intellectual level. But there comes another question. The intentions within us could be ill-informed. We don't have knowledge. Somebody who doesn't have the knowledge that a wire hanging from above is a live wire carrying electricity, with some good intentions, he wanted a little piece of rope. He holds it. Let me pull it and use it to tie something. I need a rope. He is ill-informed. He has no knowledge. He gets shocked. He may die. Or if he asks a child, bring that rope. See, it's hanging there. Child goes and holds the rope, which is not a rope, which is electric wire without insulation. The child dies. Likewise, friends, internationally, great, so-called great people are doing things which spell disaster to other countries, other cultures, and so on. We don't have to beat religion alone for this. Religious wars have been in this world, and wars have been on petrol, wars have been on coal, wars have been on a woman, wars have been on gold, wars have been on everything. And so-called leaders of the world have actually caused havoc. in this very world. Their motives have been bad. And sometimes, even though their motive was good, their intelligence was poor. I am not an expert on international affairs. I know bits and pieces. Even last week, I read a piece where the United States wanted to bless Afghanistan with certain sensible, meaningful government where the people's voice is heard, so called democracy and so on. And therefore, the United States entered into Afghanistan and then they appointed certain people. The name of some Abdul Dash Dash was there in that report. They made somebody so empowered, their purpose, their motive, their intention was to prevent Afghanistan from coming under some cruel dictatorship, narrow minded authoritarianism. But this person whom they empowered went berserk within a short while. And that little article that came in New York Times had given facts and figures of thousands and thousands of young men in Afghanistan vanishing overnight because the person with all that authority ensured that anyone finding fault with American presence in Afghanistan was finished. It led to so much of anger among Afghani people, and rest is history. You know how within about 20 years Taliban was brought back. What is all this going on? A country like America, which prides over so much of knowledge, literacy, research in great universities, think tanks, brilliant people are in all these positions. Harvard and PhDs from major institutions are advisors to the president and other politicians. But after all that, they mess up Afghanistan, they mess up Vietnam, and if you tell me or if you ask me, they're trying their best to mess up India at present. About so many internal affairs, they want to have a say and they want to forcibly change the direction of India. So, where is morality? Therefore, let me come to the most quoted statement by J. Krishnamurti in this regard. He said, I'm sure all of you know it, social morality is immorality. Like many other statements of Krishnamurti, this also is a hard nut to crack, especially for those who are not much exposed to Krishnaji's teachings. Krishnaji said something else also in this present context. A cultivated value is no value. A cultivated value is no value. Thousands of schools from high stages, high platforms say we must help students cultivate noble values. And Krishnamurti comes with a hammer. A cultivated value is no value. And all over the world, societies have been trying to promote some kind of morality. Everybody has his own concept of morality. The Islamic world very much wants to bring Sharia law to the entire world. They are convinced that it is the Sharia law that will truly win the approval of God above. So, coming back to Krishnamurti's statement, social morality is no morality. I tell you, it is not easy to appreciate. But let me tell you one thing about Krishnaji's teachings. Here in this gathering, all of us pretty much have very much understood it. In fact, I would believe that many of us in the beginning had found Krishnaji's teachings going above our heads. I was like that. But let me not turn autobiographical here. What we went through, what you went through, what she or he went through is not relevant. Let us try to do justice to the science of the matter. Krishnaji's statement, social morality is no morality, has a penetrating insight into human behavior. Social morality is defined by certain people who, at a given point of time, are thought leaders. They are impacting the thinking in the society. They may be themselves in politically strong positions, or they have politicians listening to them. So they can change the constitution, they can rewrite the books of law, they can do, they can rewrite all kinds of rules. So in this online session of this Indore group, I would like to submit that social morality hasn't come down from the heavens. Social morality is made by man, man representing men and women, people. And the penetrating insight of Krishnaji reveals that human consciousness is driven by selfishness. Even people who are regarded as moral monarchs, who are regarded, who are held in high esteem by the society, either during their lifetime itself or down the road after they are dead and gone, are many a time exposed to have actually influenced the course of events as per their personal likes and dislikes. Even incidents like what happened in Pune last week, a boy of say 17-year-old or so without license drives a car worth many crores of rupees, Porsche, and kills a few people, and within a few hours his rich family, his father, his grandfather, and everybody, they try their best to save the boy from punishment, from being caught by the long hand of law. So everyone is driven by the self. So what is true morality then? We have come very close to a certain deeper appreciation of true morality. True morality cannot be either the law books of the secular government, nor can it be the laws presented by any religion, any religion, any professional group, everybody. Many of you are aware that in Mumbai, near the Breach Candy Hospital, there was and is a club, a very prestigious club meant for elites. Outside there was a board, Indians and dogs not allowed inside. Indians and dogs not allowed inside. That is the law the whites made, because that club at that time had all Britishers as members. Shame upon them. And they were ruling this country. And they had a club where Indians and dogs, equating Indians with dogs, they went about, running that club. So, would you respect any government that has such discrimination? Discrimination based on the color of the skin, discrimination based on caste or on some external, some superficial thing. And why does such discrimination happen at all? It is the operation of the self. I guess even Panchatantra or somewhere there was a story. I'll take 3 or 4 minutes more. A fox and I guess a pig, they decided to do agriculture together. The fox always is very clever, right? In the stories, really, God knows whether it is clever at all. But in these stories, the fox is clever. The fox says to the pig, let us both work hard and let us divide whatever is the produce equally. And it says, what grows above the ground, I will take. What grows below the ground, you may please take. And some crop, maybe rice or wheat, is taken up. And the pig works very hard. Fox also pretends to work hard, really not working hard. And when all that wheat or rice or something comes up, which is the fox says, our understanding, we are going by the law, we are going by the constitution. What is above the ground is mine, and what is below the ground is yours. What would the pig get? The pig was in tears. Then the pig said, next time I will take what is above the ground, you take what is below the ground. The fox says, of course, I was also going to say the same. Then next time the fox says, let us grow some sweet potato or, there are many things which grow below the ground. Yam, some such. Suran, there are some. That is grown. And at the end of some 3 months or 4 months of hard work, the fox takes all that is below the ground, which is actually edible, eatable, enjoyable, nutritious. And the poor pig gets what is above the ground, which is of no value. Rich people in any town, and then rich governments, rich nations. I'm not making a sweeping remark, they do some good also, but in a number of situations, they are like the fox. Therefore, in summary, we must dwell on this more, I guess. We'll do that in the discussions that follow now and maybe in the other sessions too. The sum and substance of Krishnaji's wonderful insights is morality is a state of consciousness. Morality is a state of consciousness where the self is not. I, me, and my pleasure, gratification of my urges at any cost, my interests, and so on. In that spirit, he criticized nationalism also. He called nationalism poison. To my mind, the word nationalism means in that context, whatever is good for our nation, we must do. We don't care what happens to other nations. That is utter selfishness. So we'll not go into that now. But let me conclude my submission saying morality can never be defined in any context. Morality comes into being, comes into focus in governments, governance, in marriage, in running educational institutions. Morality comes even in so-called spiritual education. In an ashram, suppose the teachers make such a certain rules, and then those rules actually do injustice to certain students who are a bit different from other students. The rules do not take into account the differences because students come from different backgrounds. But there is one standard rule. It could be as simple as everybody should get up at 4 a.m. If anybody fails to get up at 4 a.m. and come to the morning meditation class, if anybody fails to do so at a stretch for 7 days, he is out. If he has come from another country, he will be put on the next plane back to his own country. Suppose. Now, there are some girls and boys who are otherwise excellent, but this getting up at 4 a.m. doesn't suit them. They have never lived like that. And they will be put on the plane back to their country within a week. Think of it. There is no understanding. There is shallowness, right? So, Krishnaji's insight doesn't talk about getting up early or going to bed early. It doesn't talk about some external thing. With due respect to those, they may have a certain relevance, but don't stretch it too far. Understand others, and for heaven's sake, understand yourself. In a deep understanding of how the self operates in others and in ourselves, hopefully our selfishness takes a backseat. A state of consciousness freed from the self is morality. And every other description, including speak the truth, and as we gave the example, don't put a knife into somebody's belly. All of them have their limitations. Freedom from the self, that is, freedom from selfishness, is the very essence of morality. Therefore, we must understand the movement of the self. Thank you.
Harshad Parekh, sir, would you please say something on this subject? We are eagerly waiting to listen you.
Okay. Are you able to hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. This topic, I have not thought so much about morality. It is a very vast topic, and one can prepare a lot by reading or watching many videos about what is morality. I will tell you what I feel. One question was asked to Krishnaji, and the question was to Krishnaji, can humanity survive without morality? And then the questioner says something about universal morality, not the morality which changes from country to country, from person to person, and sometimes what was considered moral in the past, now it is not considered moral, and so on. So is there a universal morality? And the purpose of morality is that we human beings can live happily without conflict with each other. And Krishnaji talks about what is humanity, and he says, you are humanity because humanity is suffering and you are suffering. All human beings are suffering. So finally, Krishnaji also talks about selfishness, which is there in almost all human beings. And then finally, he talks about love, which is very, very rare, which is neither attachment nor detachment, but a state of freedom, freedom from the self or selfishness. So, but let me tell you what I have. This is what Krishnaji answered about morality, and I feel that yes, finally, real morality is not the social morality, but of freedom and love and peace, as Swamiji talked about war and peace. And war means conflict with the among the nations or within oneself. And so to be free from the conflict within ourselves, which probably it is not easy, and we cannot solve the problems of international conflict. But let me tell you what I was thinking. I remembered a song from the old film, and it says, "ये पाप है क्या, ये पुण्य है क्या, रीतों पर धर्म की मोहरे है, हर युग में बदलते धर्मों को आदर्श कैसे बनाएंगे." So, for people who don't understand Hindi, it says what is virtue and what is vice, what is sin, and religion is deciding everything. And this religion is changing with time. So, how can you hold on to anything? So, finally, what is this real dharma? What is our responsibility? And so it comes back to us. And then I read newspapers and I find that the social morality, what is that people want to become somebody rich by hook or by crook. And there are people who take the contract of building a bridge or roads and buildings. And then these contractors, they are very selfish. They want to make a lot of profit. So they don't do proper work. And with very cheap material, they build all these things. And finally, when the bridge breaks, at that time, these contractors, they are caught by the government, by the police, and so on. And not only that, but also I read that the milk which we get it is not a real milk made from cow, but some people, about 40% of the milk sold in India is artificial milk made from some chemicals and which is very, very dangerous. And some people are putting some impurities in food and many other things to become rich very quickly by dishonesty, by selfishness. And such people who become very rich, they are respected in the society and their names come on the newspaper and they are worshipped by most people. And everybody wants to become like them to become rich. And so we don't have a real morality in our society. And apart from this, there are other problems like drugs, alcohol, smoking, homosexuality, premarital sex, eating meat, and abortion, and all these issues are connected with morality and responsibility and love. So one can go into all these topics in detail, but For that, one needs a lot of preparation, and it will become kind of a very knowledge about what is happening in the world. And we know uh, just by reading that what is happening in our society, where there is a lot of murder, so much violence, suicide, and a lot of crime, and so many court cases are pending in the court, millions of court cases. It indicates that there is no morality in India. I don't know about other country. Probably all human beings everywhere are same. And so whether it is America or Russia or China, all this immorality exists, which is worshipped as morality. And that is why Krishna ji says social morality is not real morality. And sometimes this morality, people have a different view about the same thing. Like when I was telling story about the life of Buddha, that Buddha left his palace to meditate in the forest. Then in the classroom, one girl, she said, Buddha was selfish. I said, why do you say that Buddha was selfish? And she said that if Buddha wanted to go to forest, he should not have got married. And he left the palace without telling his wife. And he had a child also. So from the view of that girl, what Buddha did was not morality. But from the view of Buddha, because Buddha felt that he was not very clear within himself. There were many problems bothering him, and he needed some time to meditate. And he felt that if he was himself was not clear, then how he can help his kingdom, how he can help his people. So he wanted clarity within himself, and so he left his palace, meditated. Finally, he got enlightenment. He got what Krishnaji would call a real love, which is neither attachment nor detachment, a complete freedom, a compassion for human beings. And then he started talking to many, many people, and everybody listened because it was coming from the direct insight. It was not a knowledge obtained from a book. So finally, and I can also tell you that many people have criticized Ramakrishna because Ramakrishna was married, but he had no married relationship with his wife. And so there are many authors, they say that Ramakrishna was very cruel to his wife because he did not have that kind of husband-wife relationship. But from the view of Ramakrishna and his wife Sharda Devi, they had no problem, no conflict. So they had what they thought it was very moral in their view, but in the view of society, they thought that Ramakrishna was not doing the right thing. And same thing with Gandhiji, that Gandhiji did not care about the education of his own children, his sons, and he lived a very simple life and had no money. And Ramakrishna did not provide security to his wife and sons, and there was no insurance about family. And so, but from the view of Gandhiji, what he was doing, it was very moral. But from the view of society, it was not moral. So this morality, it varies from person to person depending on their understanding of what is real our responsibility, what it means to live without selfishness, what it means to think globally, not about oneself and one's own family, because that is what is happening in our country, that there are many political parties, and they are, when they come to power, they are thinking about their own family, and they uh, earn a lot of money through corruption for their future generation. And such people are worshipped in society, who become rich by immoral values. And so I agree with Krishnaji that social morality, which gives so much importance to power, position, money, respectability, all that is really immorality. It's not morality in my view or in the view of Krishnamurti and many other people. Okay, finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I request Chidanandji to comment on this because he has to leave at 7:15. The things raised by Harshad sir.
Yes, Harshad sir actually, oh, where am I?
Yeah.
As always, he has opened up so many dimensions of this matter of morality. And as all of you are aware, Harshadji always does not go into much of language decorations. People like me do. We are professional speakers. We always keep a stock of some idioms and stories, some jokes, and some quotations from Tom, Dick, or Harry, and we decorate our talk. So let me admit openly. Harshadji, I was telling my friend sitting next to me here that Harshadji does not care to decorate it or doesn't do what is called oratorical, you know, styles. Uh, but his content is of great value to us. We appreciate that. So he talked about the power play. He talked about how people who get rich, who get powerful, who occupy positions, hmm, then they will dictate what is right and what is wrong, and they will define what is right or what is wrong as per their convenience, as per the convenience of their near and dear ones, and so on. And with some really good remarks on the Buddha, on Sri Ramakrishna, and so on, he showed, if not anything more, that the popular perception will have one color. After all, these so-called masses, the so-called people, I don't think that they are free from selfishness. They have their agenda, and they have, you know, they want a lot of things. Today in our country, lots of people want lots of things free, and they don't want to think more. They don't want to, you know, entertain any questions on that. Give us a lot of things free. If possible, give us 20,000 rupees per month every day. And then you do the development, build bridges and build everything. So masses are mad in their way. And these people in power and position, of course, which includes religious teachers, they also are likely to go berserk in their own way. Therefore, friends, all I can say by way of making a comment on Harshadji's submissions, he has also shown so vividly, so clearly that morality is extremely hard for anyone to truly rise up to. But we don't want to end with a pessimistic note. In this world, from time immemorial, there have been a few people, maybe number that you can count with your fingers, who have risen above the little self, who truly sacrifice. Even sacrifice can be a very gross form, but true sacrifice is not about not wearing enough clothes. True sacrifice is not something physical, but letting go of the narrow views, letting go of the shutting our eyes to injustice. When we are selfish, we just close our eyes to some injustice happening to somebody who is not in our family, not in our team, not in our party. So we say, oh, such things happen. We close our eyes. If something unjust happens to somebody who is in our party, our team, our family, our community, then we get very wild. Look at this injustice, etc. So he has also given a precious comments on how human mind becomes narrow, and that narrowness is opposed to morality. Thank you. I'm here till 7:15, so I'd like to hear Dinesh ji and Pradeep ji and others. Please
Yeah.
go on.
And Prasad ji too.
Yeah, Prasad Mulupuri, yeah.
Yeah. Dinesh.
Are you able to hear my voice?
You are already in picture, so please speak
Yes.
now.
Are
We
you
are
able to
seeing-
hear my voice?
Yeah, we were able to hear your voice and we were able to see you with Chidanandji also. So you can start.
Okay. This is a very complicated subject. So I have taken, I will take some more time for that, pardon me. But let us start with the what is musings, because he always use this word. Musings are comments on something that has been thought about for some time. Means he has been thinking on it and he has come out with the whatever he wanted to say. What is morality? Morality is the human attempt to define what is right and wrong about our actions and thoughts. What is
Some
good and bad
disturbance is
about our.
coming.
Pardon? Any problem? Hello. Kamlesh, any problem?
No, please continue.
No problem?
Dinesh, please continue.
So morality is a human attempt to define what is right and wrong about our actions and thoughts, and what is good and bad about our being who we are. Means this is also defines somewhere what our image is, what our we want to project our images. So JK was asked by one questioner the same question, and what JK's reply was. It is a little bit longer, but it is very much necessary to justify the subject. Can we discard the morality of society, which is really quite immoral? Its morality has been respectable, approved by religious sanctions, and the morality of counter-revolution also soon becomes as immoral and respectable as that of well-established society. This morality is to go to war, to kill, to be aggressive, to seek power, to give hate its place. It is also the cruelty and injustice of established authority. This is not moral, but can one actually say that it is not moral? Because we are part of this society, whether we are conscious of it or not. Social morality is our morality, and can we easily put it aside? The ease with which we put it aside is the sign of our morality, not the effort it cost us to put it aside, not the reward, not the punishment for this effort, but the ease with which we discard it. If our behavior is directed by the environment in which we live, controlled and shaped by it, then it is mechanical and heavily conditioned. And if our behavior is the outcome of our own conditioned response, is it moral? If you behave rightly according to some ideological concept or principles, can that action be regarded as virtuous? If your action is based on fear and reward, is it righteous? So we must begin to find out how deeply we have discarded the morality of authority, imitation, conformity, and obedience. As we said, with what ease you come out of this hypocrisy is of the greats importance. If you merely disregard it, it doesn't indicate that you are moral. If you live a life of routine and contentment, that is not morality either. One only out of freedom can come virtue. Can one free oneself with great skill from this network of what is considered moral? Skill in action comes with freedom and so virtue. So virtue is freedom. Freedom is not an idea, a concept. When there is freedom, there is attention, and only in this attention can goodness flower. Morality is social as law, as ethics, as religion. The action of intelligence, freed from compulsion, is true morality. Morality, the action of intelligence, freed from compulsion, is true morality. Morality is purely individual. Morality is purely individual. Morality do this and not to do that. Morality is the child of love, and love is not desire and pleasure. Sexual or sensory enjoyment is not love. To deny all divisions and resistance is the highest morality. To negate everything that man has created, invented, to negate all his values, ethics, and gods is to be in a state of mind in which there is no duality. Therefore, no resistance or conflict between opposites. In this state, there are no opposites, and this state is not the opposite of something else. Morality, religion, and objective conditions are based fundamentally on fear. They are outcome of the desire on the part of individual to be secure. Basically, when the question of morality comes, so there are two things. Why the question of morality comes? When we talk of group, then only the question of morality comes. Otherwise, if there is a single man or single individual, there is no question of morality. But why? What is the context or what is the reference of JK? Why he is talking like that? That we have to see. Now we see. First of all, we see first what is the traditional stance on this. First of all, question of morality arises when we talk of group. For a group, there has to be rules and regulations, do's and don'ts for a superficial order. From security point of view, to avoid general conflicts, to avoid chaos, etc. For a society which is mostly made up of general people, such morality rules and regulations are must. Now, normally, such rules and regulations are decided by the authorities considering general situation, mob needs, etc. Such morality is to be followed by all, including the authorities. However, the rules and regulations are broken by authorities, sometimes considering their ego-generated desires for exceptional cases, etc. Now, since these moral rules are thought-based solutions, and they are never completely satisfying solutions. As said earlier, they are situation, environment, and need-based, hence are changeable from time to time. So Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, and Kali Yug, morality norms are different. Even we see today, they change frequently. Say in Israel case, Hamas war earlier world was with Israel, but now they are pressurizing Israel to stop war. In case of Ukraine, because Russia is powerful, nobody is able to push Russia to stop war. In society, now we see that slowly people started accepting live-in relationships, gay and lesbian relationships, etc. Now, when the question of spiritual morality is concerned, when the question of spiritual morality is concerned, the individuality comes into picture. Earlier we were talking about the group who was not that knowledgeable. There was so much ignorance. So there has to be certain common norms which suits to authorities as well as the pupil. But now, when we talk of some special pupils, now when the question of spiritual morality is concerned, the individuality comes into picture and one has to follow his inner norms by keeping aside the society norms. So he has to first consider his self, and then he has to go with his inner norms. This JK also agrees, and even in case of Aurobindo, he has also said the same thing. Aurobindo and Ma's relation were also different and exceptional considering then orthodox time. So if we consider this, it means morality is normally based on is time based. It depends on the demands of the situation, and it changes according to the authorities. Of course, the question of dharma and adharma comes when your ruler or your this authority has got ill intentions or this thing. So intention is very important. Earlier there was a question of intention. So intention is very important. What intention the persons are having. The result may be not that encouraging or not as per the desired values, but intention is important in such cases. So in case of morality, it is changeable, and it depends. In case of spiritual people, it depends on their inner norms which dilute their self. Thank you. Any comments by Swamiji?
Pradeep sir, Pradeep, please, Waghmare, don't guide, please. Please let me ask Pradeep ji first. Pradeep ji. Pradeep ji, please go ahead.
प्रसाद जी
Please
is there
go
ना
ahead.
यार सुशील भाई प्रसाद जी
नहीं, प्रसाद जी, आप you start. Prasad ji will be last.
अच्छा
Please
ओके
do. I am going above morality.
हाँ supra morality supra
Right.
okay so it is I will put it very simply.
Yeah.
I will not tell you stories. I will not tell you about people. I will not tell you about society. I will only tell you in my day-to-day life what I think is right or wrong. The whole day, the way we live, the way I live, this question comes always either knowingly, unknowingly, or subconsciously, whether this is right or this is wrong. So the best way to find out is the basic question, what I think I am. You see, what I think I am is the most important question. Am I different than all others? Am I not, whether I live in a group, in a family, whether that is not a society? So ultimately, what sensitivity I have, it depends a lot on that. You considering yourself as something different creates n number of problems. This has been, you can feel it daily. The moment you are more self-centered, even for your habits, then it creates some sort of disturbance in the family. They may tolerate it. That's a different thing. But the moment you become different, that is called self. So it creates a disorder. Although in nature, order is maintained at a very gross level. At times, that's why it comes out as some sort of disaster. When it crosses that limit, human activity, then but otherwise, it is not difficult to find what morality is, what is moral or immoral. So it's that simple. So if I see myself you will, and I know what suffering is. Whether my suffering is different than my help, who is coming to help me, my gardener, my family members, my relations, my relatives, my friends, are they really different than me? Then the question of morality and ultimately the whole thing will percolate down to love. Am I really living in love? I know whether I know means again mind comes in, but am I living a loving life? So there won't be problems. Then this question of that you are not an individual, you are the world, whether I feel it in my small society I live, everything will be clear whether it's moral or immoral. There cannot be any definition about it. All this morality is for the alleviation of suffering of all types. All conditionings our conditionings are so varied. Time and space, locations, conditions, financial status, material availability, and all that. So the best thing is to find out in my daily life, where do I become immoral? And it reflects immediately, beautiful. If you are sensitive, you will find that it reflects beautifully in people during my interactions with them. With things even, forget about people. With the things also, if I misbehave with so-called not living things, it bounces back. So that Newton's third law, to each and every action there is equal and opposite reaction. You can feel it with when you are dealing with non-living, so-called non-living. The living is feeling what feeling it gives me. This is in a nutshell. I have to say, it starts with me, and as an individual, you may say, or as what individuality is in me. I am listening to this whole thing. How do I listen to my friends and their ideas, and where from those ideas are coming? Is he living that or not? So everything is so clear. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much for giving me enough time. Thank you.
Prasad sir, please. Prasad sir, please.
Sir,
Please go ahead.
sir, basically, firstly, I want to congratulate Swamiji for the excellent summation he has given to this topic. That is, social morality is no morality. And the only morality possible is to see whether your actions are free from self. So, all of us are saying the same thing in different words. What Swamiji has said, Pradeep ji has illustrated from his life. He's saying the same thing, that he wants to examine whether his actions are free from self. So I don't find any difference between these two. Harshad ji has also said the same thing. Ultimately, Dinesh ji has quoted the quotations from Krishna ji. They summarize the same thing. So we are all talking the same thing in different words. We are using different words. That is how I look at it. And we have to see why social morality is no morality. There are so many reasons for that. You can accumulate wealth by any means. And once you accumulate wealth, nobody will question your morality. Society will accept you as a very good man, great man, virtuous man, and all that. If you are a great religious leader, claiming to be Bhagavan himself, and then you get so many donations and all that, and if you give a portion of that for social projects, you give drinking water to an arid area, something like that you do, people will glorify you as a great religious person, as almost as another Bhagavan, or another avatar of Bhagavan, or something like that. So you can kill any number of people in a war, and you become a great national leader and all those things. We know all these things. These are the things which we have to examine for ourselves, and that is what I think Krishnaji wants us to see for ourselves. Not to harangue about them, but to see ourselves how society has its own yardsticks, and all those yardsticks are false. And for me, that book written by Radha Rajgopal about Krishnaji's affair, it is not a shock to me, because Krishnaji never asked you to abide by social morality. If there is love in your affair, that is a different, that puts it on a different platform. There is something different. We, I think, hesitate. We who admire Krishnaji, because I don't want to use the word followers, we admire him. We don't want to talk about that affair. We want to kind of put it in the background. But for me, it is indicative of how he lived life on his terms. This is how I look at it. He lived life on his terms. He never concealed anything. You may say he never talked about it. I mean, you won't keep on bragging about it or tom-tomming about it. And but when the occasion came, he never concealed it. He would have faced the consequences if somebody raised the issue when he was alive. That is how I look at it. So, you live life on your terms with love and affection in your heart for everything. And Pradeep ji has taken it to a different dimension, if I understand him correctly. He says even lifeless things, inanimate things, even those things have to be treated properly, without self. Like if you have, if you have ACs in your house, don't keep on using them simply because you can pay the electricity bill. Social responsibility that you should use them properly with only when it is required and things like that. So this is how you have to live your life. Don't keep on consuming petrol by traveling to irrelevant places and all that. So ultimately, we are all talking the same thing. What is required is that state of consciousness, which as Swamiji has said, a state of consciousness where the self is not. And what is self is amazingly difficult to understand. Yourself can be in every nook and corner of your life. In all your actions, in all your talks, the way you walk, that itself can show you whether you are dominated by self or not. You can judge our political leaders, how dominant they are in their walks. Some of them, not all of them. No comment applies to everybody in a particular field. There are always exceptions. There are always people who conform to what you say and things like that. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
मैंने तो तेरा हाथ पकड़ा था परेशानी में, मैंने तो तेरा हाथ पकड़ा था परेशानी में, ये जो मोहब्बत है वो बहुत बात की बात है। वाघमरे,
क्या बात है।
Jain Sahib is too deep for me.
वाघमरे सर, दिनेश वाघमरे, please
allow me, sir. Yeah,
7 minutes long for you, please.
Yeah.
Speak. Nobody else will
Basically,
interview.
yes. It's a very pleasure for me that you have accepted the fact. What you said is acceptable to me. Once you will remember that I have already told you that love is a different thing, and the personality differences are the another thing. Anyway, there are two things basically. We cannot express what real our feelings and emotions are. We have to see the society also. You may be having your ego is getting diluted, so you may be having development of say love and all that, or say karuna and all that. But as far as norms are concerned, you can have your feelings and emotions of that, but you can't express it, because if you express, then there will be a chaos in the society. People will make you ideal, and then they will say that since Krishnamurti is behaving like that, we will also behave like that. Or since anybody, Osho is behaving like that, so we can also behave like that. General people is not that aware. They are ignorant people. And that can make society a little bit troublesome. So we have to also see these things. Thank you.
तेरे तक आने में जाने कितने दिल दुखाए हैं मैंने, तेरे तक आने में जाने कितने दिल दुखाए हैं मैंने, दुआ करो कि मुझे किसी की बद्दुआ न लगे, दुआ करो बद्दुआ न लगे।
जरूर sir, जरूर.
Thank you. Let me end it now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Before that, let me clarify one more point.
No, sir. No, you will have to clarify. No.
See,
Please,
just last sentence.
Please.
Last sentence.
Actually, either you have to speak or end it, please. Modak, either you speak or end it, please.
No, I am speaking. I have got very high regard for Jain Sahib, because in Indore group, because of Jain Sahib only this program is
Regardless,
going.
I am saying you, I will listen in the next meeting now. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I wanted to say.
End it.
Okay. I wanted to say.
End it. Please don't say Waghmare.
I just wanted to say that I have got very high regards for Jain Sahib, and because of Jain Sahib is the crucial point, or the member, because of whom this we are able to do this Zoom the telecasting for so much time. So
Thank you. Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you.
to be noted.
Thank you. Modak, please end it. Modak, please end it.